Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Zishan on Air every Sunday 6 p.m. and onward with the legacy media as well as with social media. And I would like to welcome all of you who has joined me through Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and we're also live with the IG, Instagram. A lot of news happening, especially in the Gulf region. U.S. surges forces toward Middle East, giving Trump options to expand Iran war. 13 consecutive nights, U.S. has hit Iran very hard on the various areas within the coastal line close to Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is still the area which is under the control of Iran. And according to the Trump administration, they are trying to negotiate and they have to negotiate, but there is a trust deficit on both sides, from the Iranian side as well as from the US side. Especially the MOU, which was put in place, is no longer in place with that 60-day ceasefire where the parties were supposed to return after 60 days with more concrete steps, with technicalities in terms of how this war will come to an end. And now the latest is that even some Gulf regions, for example, Kuwait and Bahrain, they also attacked Iran. So this is definitely expanding and something that Iran should also need to reconsider in terms of their approach. And you can only negotiate from the position of power. And this is where right now Iran is not in the position of power in negotiations. Yes, they have hit back. Some US bases have been hit. But at the end of the day, it's the region where they are residing with their neighbors. So if the neighbors are not happy and you're not happy in the region, that's a very, very complex and tough neighborhood. So I really hope that somehow with this renewed talks with mediators like Oman and Qatar, they may come up with a better agreement, and perhaps maybe Switzerland or some European countries who have decades or centuries old experience in terms of negotiations, because the parties who were involved previously in these negotiations, look at their mess internally they have made. For example, and I know a lot of people may not like this, but it's true in terms of the news, Pakistan. They cannot manage their own house. They don't know what's going on inside. They know, but they don't want to have any kind of stability, political stability or economic stability within their own country. And especially with regards to what's happening in one of the largest province in Pakistan, which is Balochistan, they always blame India. And even if you blame your adversaries, doesn't matter. Why are you creating these kind of conducive conditions that are helping, let's say, your adversaries? So always look at yourself first. Then this other region, which is Azad Kashmir, independent Kashmir, which is an oxymoron. They are not Azad, which basically means independent. And now people in Srinagar or even in the Jammu and Kashmir, which is the area administered by India, and some obviously on the Pakistani side call it as Indian occupied Kashmir. They are in fact writing letters and in coordination with Dr. Malia Lodi. She was the UN ambassador of Pakistan for many years, and she was also on one of the talk shows talking about how people in the Indian side of Kashmir are very concerned because they are seeing what's happening on this so-called autonomous or independent Kashmir under Pakistan's control or Pakistan's administration. So it's a mess. And now that mess, we saw it in that MOU that was put in place with no experience in international negotiations by the people who are involved, who have no idea how democracy works. They have no idea how these intense negotiations should be put in such a way, especially some of those points like point number 5, which was specifically mentioning about that Strait of Hormuz would be under Iran's responsibility of ensuring that there's a free flow. And that's when the Saudi oil tanker, and then there was another oil tanker, I believe it was Qatar or UAE oil tanker, when those were attacked. And then the first official statement from the Iranian government was that no, it was not us. So some rogue elements. And if they have that kind of a decentralized structure, then how anyone in the world can be assured that no rogue elements within your own political establishment or within your own government is not going to sabotage any kind of MOU. So now here we are, where we don't know what would be the outcome of the new kind of negotiations with the Qataris and Omanis getting involved now. And we also don't know what would be the future of the Strait of Hormuz, and then the other one, which is Bandar al Abbas, or that Yambo seaport, all the way to that Red Sea that opens up. And then that area is in fact narrower than the Strait of Hormuz. And then the new information coming out from Mike Waltz, who is the U.S. Ambassador at the United Nations, said it very clearly in the past 24 hours that new pipelines are going to be built, because 6 million or so barrels per day are being shipped out from this Red Sea area. So the future may not be with the sea lanes, it would be with the big pipelines underground and even under the sea, or somewhere inside the sea levels, where the oil will be shipped. So next 10 years or 20 or 30 or 40 years, there would not be a repeat of this. Because unfortunately, the mess in that area, you can blame anyone, but at the end of the day, if the world is now becoming hostage because of no oil being shipped from those areas, everyone will get involved. And that's where this war is going to expand sooner rather than later, if no calmer minds will prevail and no sense will come to the parties who are in that region. So US, everyone knows, no one can come close to the military might of the United States of America. The United States Navy, in fact, and the number of fleets and vessels they have, next 10 countries do not even come close to it, with 13 fleets or even more, with the aircraft carriers. So everyone knows that the military might cannot be defeated, obviously, with the same tactics. And that's where it has now become sort of a guerrilla war that Iran was envisioning for decades. So I wanted to spend some time here so people recognize, understand the severity of this issue, because there's a lot of political propaganda happening within Iran and those who are close to Iran, or in the Muslim world, and also in the US, where everyone is saying these things, or the talking points are more in alignment with their own political narrative. And the ground reality is telling us completely different story. UK ready to defend itself after Iran says bases are, quote, legitimate targets, unquote. So BBC has reported that. And then the art of the giveaway in terms of the Trump administration is giving Saudi Arabia exactly what it wants. And that is obviously the civilian nuclear technology, where conflicting information is coming out that they may not be allowed to have any kind of enrichment. And in some cases, there would be inspectors, but it would not be as rigorous as with IAEA, EA going in every now and then. But the idea here is that Trump wants Saudis to also become part of the Abraham Accords. Now, who is going to believe that Saudis don't know this? They already know this. Maybe they've already accepted the state of Israel, which they have. And the two-state solution, which they have always proposed, the state of Israel has never agreed to that. And the problem here is that Saudis, they know very well that perhaps they can use this as a bargaining chip to get nuclear technology from the US. And if US is not going to give them this technology, then according to Mike Waltz, he said that, do you want a nuclear reactor being created or built in Saudis by China or Russia? So do you want a Russian nuclear reactor or a Chinese nuclear reactor? Because Saudis will go and get it from Russia or China, perhaps. So that's where this whole story from the Atlantic, also covering different types of pros and cons. And in 2018, that's when MBS said that if Iran has a nuclear, Saudis will definitely get a nuclear. But Iran does not have a nuclear, and that's another issue. But there's always this whole idea about, okay, that they are enriched, they have enough enrichment material for a nuclear bomb. And this is where Saudi nuclear deal requires normalized Israel relations, as reported by FDD, and then the U.S. is surging forces. So let's see what happened. And peaceful nuclear capability has sparked concerns of potential militarization and a regional scramble to obtain weapons of mass destruction. The only idea of WMDs here is a deterrence, because whoever has a nuclear, it will never be used, and God forbid, no one should ever think about using a nuclear bomb because of the nuclear winter, as they call it. And for 20 years, there would be famine and the kind of nuclear winter that the entire region and the world will face. So Newsweek has reported how Saudi Arabia getting a nuclear bomb would spark a Middle East arms race. And how close is Saudi Arabia to nuclear weapons? So 123 agreements they were talking about, and US to have a direct role in the program, likely limiting the space for illicit activity not authorized by Washington. And then US will continue to have a stake in the region through a very sophisticated nuclear plant that will be built by American companies. So while Saudi Arabia has publicly disavowed nuclear weapons capabilities, the kingdom is under unprecedented attack from Iran, which faces a joint US-Israeli war launched in response of fears regarding its own nuclear program. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, has publicly stated that he would rush to obtain a nuclear weapon if Iran did. He is not alone. And that's where he first said it in 2018. So CBS has also reported internally with the U.S. domestic, more people booked into ICE detention in June than in any month since crackdown began, and more than 43,000 people were booked into immigration detention in June, the highest monthly total since President Trump returned to office. Newly released immigration and customs enforcement data shows. And Homeland Security changes how it reviews green card applications. So DHS changes green card application review. This is where the public charge issue 2022 final rule, which has now been rescinded. The public charge ground of inadmissibility regulations of 2022 final rule. The public charge rule is used to decide whether someone is likely to depend mainly on government assistance. If immigration officers determine that an applicant is likely to become a public charge, they can deny a visa, admission to the US, or a green card. The charge gives immigration officers more freedom to look. This particular change will give them more freedom to look at a person's overall situation, including age, health, family size, income, assets, and financial resources, education, and job skills. And this is that federal regulation. So now under federal guidelines, officers may consider whether an applicant has received certain means tested public benefits along with their financial and personal circumstances when making that decision. So this, in terms of the date, the final rule is effective on September 18th, 2026. And there's more information. The rule applies to applications for admission made on or after September 18, 2026, or applications for adjustment of status postmarked or electronically submitted on or before, on or after September 18, 2026. Receipt of means tested public benefits before September 18, 2026 will be considered consistently with the 2022 final rule. So that's the stipulation, and the cost in terms of the reading of this particular rule. Cost will include the opportunity cost of time to read the rule and subsequently determine applicability of its provisions. DHS estimates that the time to read is would be 8 to 9 hours per individual, and DHS estimates the opportunity cost of time will range from about $384.40 to $432.45 per individual who must read and review the rule according to the Federal Register. So this is, again, the rule of law. That's what the US is about. There's international news in terms of The Guardian, the opposition leader in India, after accusing Narendra Modi of, quote, destroying the future of India's youth during protests in solidarity with cockroach movement. So this is where one of the Supreme Court Chief Justice over there in India called some students cockroaches, what have you. So, and now there's a cockroach party, cockroach People's Party, or cockroach Janta Party, as they call it in their language, has been created by this person. And now Rahul Gandhi, as you can see his picture. And again, democracy is under attack in India. And it's again, a picture is always worth 1,000 words. And then there's another protest by students going on with the leak of medical exams or the medical examination paper, where hundreds of thousands sat in those papers and in that exam, and it was leaked actually. So there's another protest going on about that. The education minister has resigned after intense public pressure, and AP has reported Pakistan rejects an amnesty call for war crimes probe into Kabul airstrike. So there's more that you can read about that. I don't want to go into the detail because of Pakistan accuses Afghanistan, and then Afghanistan accuses Pakistan, and then the TTP, which is the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. It's a mess, unfortunately. And again, all types of issues should be negotiated rather than using the military force, because that, in fact, creates more hostility and issues between the neighbors and the parties involved. So that's basically where we are. Again, the whole idea is I report, you decide. At the end of the day, the important thing is that we should look at these news with the story behind it and from all different angles. I would like to thank our key advertiser sponsors, especially Affordable Insurance of Texas, for sponsoring this program and for their advertisements. And they have been in business for over 30 years, 3 decades. They have a lot of credibility, a lot of experience. And if you want to save hundreds and thousands of dollars on insurance premiums for auto insurance, call Affordable Insurance of Texas. For commercial insurance, business insurance, health insurance, and even if you would like to bundle your homeowners insurance, or if you would like to get a quote on homeowners insurance, call them and bundle homeowners insurance with auto insurance. Their phone number is 713-785-4000. That's 713-785-4000. Or go on the web, www.aitinsurance.com. That's Affordable Insurance of Texas. And I would also like to thank our key advertiser sponsor, Roop Sari Palace. Roop Sari Palace, they've been in business for many years. They have 1,000 square footage showroom for women and also a separate one for men. New shipments have arrived for men as well as for women, and kurta pajamas and sherwanis for men, and all these evening gowns, traditional gowns for women and for brides and for grooms and for men and women and for children of all age groups. You can schedule a virtual video tour by calling 832-267-0065, 832-267-0065. They're on Hillcroft at Harbin. You cannot miss it. You can go online and get all the information as well. www.roopsari, ROOPSARI, roopsari.com. And I also would like to thank our key advertiser and sponsor, Shanai Restaurant and Catering. Shanai Restaurant and Catering, they have all you can eat lunch buffet for only $10.99, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you can also get a bun kebab, which is a burger with fries and soda, for $9.99 plus tax. And mention Zishan on here if you forget this. Also, they have $15 deals, $25 deals, $35 deals every day, 7 days a week. All you can eat buffet is Monday to Friday. Vegetarian $12.99, non-veg $14.99. Takeout buffet. Even they give naan in takeout buffet. And also you can get chicken or beef or chicken legs or any kind of beef, anything you want. Takeout buffet, $7.99 per pound. That's becoming very popular. So take advantage of that. And they have catering discounts as well for Zishan On Air listeners and viewers and audience. So call them, 713-953-1388. If you forget any of these deals, mention Zishan On Air and they will take care of you. And also for catering and for party trays, you can go online or call them, SHAHNAI Texas.com. One word, Shanai Texas.com, or 713-953-1388. So with that, I'm going to sign off with the legacy media and continue with the, in fact, sign off from the social media and continue with legacy media as well. Next is Big Baller Sports. Thank you.